Yeah, for the microphone and everything was running fine. Of course, as soon as you do it in the real world, it completely decides not to work. So I've moved on to my mobile, so sorry it's a little bit shaky. Let me know that you can hear me this time. Thank you ever so much for your patience. I know it's now 7 minutes past and I know your time is really, really precious. So apologies for that. I will, I don't know, I sorted it all this morning, so yeah. So that's a bit frustrating, but please do hop over onto this live, and I look forward to going through all the money blocks with you there. I'm just going to put a note on the other one to say come over to the other live. Come over to the new live in the news feed. And this will be on replay later as well for anyone who can't catch it at this particular time. I know it's difficult to catch a time that's kind of right for everyone, so I do appreciate you being here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Caroline Domanska and I'm a money mindset and income coach, which means I help people who are feeling really stuck around money, the way it's behaving for them, the way it's showing up or not in your life, and I help you change that. And I change that through two ways. One is through the way you think about money, and the other is focusing on easy money systems. So a bit of a two-pronged approach from both the mindset and the practical approach. Great, Virginia, I'm really glad you can hear me. Virginia gave us some brilliant training last week on webinars, and now I feel like I've really let her down by not having my technical problems. But anyway, it's the real life. So, so there we go. It's really great to also see Nicola here and Nikki and Anne. I'm really glad you're joining us. We've got a lovely, lovely group of over 70 people now actually who've enrolled for the training. So I feel really privileged to be able to share my wisdoms with you. And please do post in the group. I'm always there active, answering any questions, giving you some coaching support as well on that basis. So I also wanted to just talk about today what we're going to do. So today we're going to be focusing on our money why. So really looking in at what it is that we want money to do for us, what's the priority, and why is that important? Because once we know the jobs that we want money to do, it's a lot easier to do the practical steps and keep on top of our mindset around money and bring that money in towards us. Each of the 5 days that we do this week, they're going to be focusing on a different part of the 5-step process that I take my clients through and that I have also put together in my online course called Create Your Money Blueprint. So you're getting a little sneak peek of the whole process, which will help you create your financial freedom. So on Friday as well, you might want to make a note of this in your diary. On Friday at 1 o'clock, the Facebook Live is going to be a bit longer, and I'm also going to hold it as a webinar that you can access anytime as well. We're going to be doing a masterclass on planning your income, so up-leveling your income, and so that's going to be really exciting. So make sure you've got Friday free as well. That would be fabulous. So back to the money why. So why is it important to know our money why, like what's important to us? For those of you who've seen the email this morning about the boat exercise, great, you'll already get your mind into that kind of idea. If not, we're going to go through it on the Facebook Live in a few moments anyway, so don't panic if you haven't seen the email, you're not behind or anything like that. Now, there was a study done back in the 70s, and there's been a number of numerous kind of studies that are similar to this, but this is kind of like the original and most famous one. In 1953, a team of researchers interviewed some graduates from Yale University, and they asked them if they'd written down any specific goals for what they wanted to achieve in life. And then what happened is 20 years later, so in the 70s, the same researchers tracked down the same cohort of people. And what they found was that the 3% of people who had specific goals, so back in the 1953, had specific goals, had accumulated more personal wealth than the remaining 97% of people put together. Okay, so that top 3% of people had more wealth than the other 97. And the main difference that they found is that they had specific goals in mind for what they wanted to achieve. Now, you might think, well, actually I've done goal setting before and I write down these things and this doesn't work, and you know, and it's all very well saying, oh, I want to earn X amount by the end of the year, or have so many clients, or that kind of thing. And I think to an extent we can sometimes get just kind of involved in the process of kind of writing goals rather than the actual doing or achieving of them. So what I like to bring it right back to is the why, your money why. So what I mean by that is bringing like an overall theme really to all your interactions, thoughts, doings, beings around money and life in general, to be fair. That way, if you have like a theme, then that can sort of pervade into your thinking around everything you do. So so that way it's easier than having all these particular specific kind of goals that you want to be challenging yourself to do. Actually, this is kind of like your guiding light and the reason why you want money in your life, and why you're doing these different activities to create more money into your life. I've got quite a lot of experience around goal setting and creating really strong whys for myself. Before I became a money coach, I was a financial advisor. So I've got about over 20 years, I don't know how I've managed it, but over 20 years experience in the financial industry, both here and overseas. And back in 2011, 2012, I achieved at the company I was working under the umbrella of, I mean, I ran my own business under the umbrella of a company. I achieved number 2 in the world. I didn't quite get to number 1, it was a bit annoying, but anyway, number 2 was still pretty good out of, a few hundred different advisors. And how did I get to number 2 in the world? It was by really having a strong influence on what my why was. Now, I'd like to say it was kind of like really like lofty whys, you know, kind of like world peace and that sort of thing. But actually at the time, I know for me, it was about success, prestige. It was about being up there in the league table. I was feeling very competitive at the time. So all those things were things that drove me at the time. Since then, life has changed, and now married and have a baby. So actually it's a lot more about financial freedom, it's about balance, life balance, it's about security, financial security for family and that kind of thing. So actually probably much more heartwarming goals than I had before, but I think both of those sides of me actually really helped me create my success. So I know why I want money in my life, and I think it's important for money to have a job to do. If you give it a job to do, then it's happy and more of it wants to come and work with you. So my theory is really that the two parts that you need to work on around money are, the two pillars are your practical money systems and your mindset. Don't do one or the other. If you do one or the other, then you're either kind of feeling fed up that you keep putting these systems in place and they just don't work. If you just do your mindset, sometimes it lacks kind of practical substance and action around it. Okay, so when we do the two together, that's where the magic happens, and that's where, in my experience and my clients' experience, we start actually creating more wealth. So I know some of you have already done the rowboat exercise, and fabulous, because you've been posting in the group your reveals from that. And I would like now to just go through that exercise with you as well. So so if I can just ask you, just kind of, depending on where you are, of course, I know some of you are sort of at work having your lunch and all that sort of thing, just try and look like you're kind of a bit zoned out, or taking some relaxation time. But if you do have the opportunity to close your eyes, and it's safe to do so, then please do. Because what I'd like you to do now is just take a moment to imagine that you're on a boat. The kind of boat that you might row yourself, you know, along a lovely river, very peaceful, birds chattering, the sun coming through the clouds, the beautiful trees on the bank, and you're rowing it yourself. It's nice and easy. It's an easy row. It's not difficult, okay? And the sun's there warming your back, and you lazily are rowing along. And it's just you in the boat for now. On that boat, you're going to choose to take 5 things with you, okay? 5 things that are the priority in your life. So these could be things like health, family, could be spirituality, could be work, career, could be freedom, personal growth, could be your physical environment, could be financial security, it could be friends, fun, romance, all sorts of different things. The 5 things that for you really feel like are priorities in your life. I'll give you a few moments just to either write those down, make a note of those, or if you want, you can pop them in the comments, what your 5 priorities are. So there's you on the boat with your 5 priorities, just rowing along. It's all lovely, and then the water comes up and it changes, it starts swirling, and it swishes, and it's more like being on one of those kind of white water rafting experiences. Everything's going everywhere. You're struggling to keep hold of the oar. It just feels like you don't know what's going to happen next, and before you know it, you're on the bank, you and the boat. You just make it to the shore. Everything but one of your priorities is washed away. What priority makes it to the shore with you? Okay. If anybody wants to let me know what their priority was, that'd be fabulous. For me, it is family, or more specifically, it's creating a work-life balance that allows me to spend time with my daughter. My daughter's 15 months old and a complete live wire, and loads of fun, but I want to, where I can, spend as much time with her as possible, and also have time obviously for myself and my husband as well, and earn the kind of money that I want, and feel satisfied in my work endeavours. So Nikki says family and Charlotte says family. I think family comes up a lot. What I'd encourage you to think about is what particularly it is around family that's really, really important for you. So as I was saying there, is it around work-life balance? Is it being able to spend more time with wider family, being able to go on travelling, on holidays? Is there a particular sort of essence to that that's important to you? Virginia says health, and Sophie says family. Yeah, so it's really, really, these things are really fundamental, important things to us. Thanks, Anne. You're also saying family as well. What we can do is use these, I was talking about it earlier, as the theme to our endeavours. So the reason that we want to have this theme, or in terms of a mindset block, is because a lot of time there's a lot of negative chatter going on in our heads, and from what we've learned in the world at large, and what we've learned from maybe our upbringing, from cultural sources and that kind of thing, that actually having more wealth is a bad thing, right? That negative chatter comes along, telling us that actually, who are we to have more money? Why should we have more when others have less? And that those kind of negative stories that have been passed down to us through generations and through what we see sort of on TV and we hear in the wider world. And these things are, even if we're not really explicitly aware of them, they're somewhere in our brain's makeup, in the way that we're thinking about different things. Oh yeah, oh nice, somebody just gave me some little likes. You know, feel free to give likes and hearts and all of those sort of things. I forgot about that little functionality. So yeah, back to there, thinking about your mindset. So this negative chatter comes in, and when that comes in, what you want is really to have your comeback prepared. Okay, so when that sort of negative chatter comes in saying, well, oh, surely money's the root of all evil or something like that, you want to have your comeback prepared. And your comeback is, well, actually, money, or actually negative chatter, what I'm doing is I'm creating this world for me and my family. I'm creating this life that allows me to have the balance, have the time to bring up my daughter, to be the number one influence in her life, and I believe that money can come easily with the work and endeavours that we do. So you want to have your theme or your comeback prepared whenever you get that negative chatter. And by having just this one guiding light, for example, like family or health, have a think about how that changes how you think about money. So for example, with health, if you use that as your overriding theme, perhaps when you're next thinking about, maybe if you work for yourself, perhaps when you're next thinking about the next project or something you're doing, maybe you're thinking about, well, actually, how could I outsource some of that so that I get to balance kind of so I don't spend too much time and I still got time for self-care and still got time for health. And perhaps that's something then you factor into your pricing around that. Or when we're thinking about family, it's the sort of job role you might be looking for, or the things that you say yes or no to at work. Maybe we start to become a little bit firmer around our boundaries there. So if we use this theme as our guiding light and our sort of what money why, then it becomes easier to create decisions that are aligned with exactly what we're looking to bring money in for. On a practical sense, what you'll find, I'll use a quote from Jim Rohn, which is quite a classic. It's the bigger the why, the easier the how. So once you've got your big why in place, actually the how becomes way much easier. Because you know exactly where you're going to be heading with your why, somehow the ways of doing things actually, and the actual practical steps that you need to do that, start to become a lot clearer, and the clarity comes a lot easier. I've got a really neat exercise on my website. If you go to moneymindsetcoaching.co.uk, go to the free resources section, there's a clip from a lady called Patty Dabrowski, and she does something called the bridge, and that really allows you to bridge the actions between what you want, where you are now, and what you want to happen in the future. So you might want to try out that as well as an extra thing. So next steps are to really take this guiding light that you've got and make that prominent for yourself. So if you might have lots of different ways of doing that. You might want to pop it on a post-it note on your laptop, post-it note on your mirror or something like that. Pop it up as coming up an alarm on your phone was quite useful. Just really get into the groove of thinking, what is my money why, and why do I want to take that forward? Then post in the Facebook group if you haven't already around that, and I'll give you some extra thoughts and extra questions to help power up your thinking on that as well. And then tomorrow we're going to be doing, we're going to be focusing on step 2 of my 5-step process, which is money practicalities. Now, everything I do on a practical basis around money also actually helps flip your mindset as well. So we're going to be looking for some hidden treasure tomorrow. very exciting. So look for your email. It comes early doors, around 8 a.m. And then jumping over into the Facebook group at 1 o'clock. And of course the replay will also be available as well, and I'll be around and about in the group. Is there any questions that anybody's got? Because I'm free, I'm here, I'm live, ready to answer them. Do pop them in the comment box there. I know one of my projects for this afternoon is going to be, again, looking at why my microphone didn't work, so that you don't get such a wobbly experience tomorrow. And it has some lovely little things to go up on the screen as well prepared, so hopefully that will all be up and running by tomorrow, and we can breathe on that. Some typical thoughts and questions that might come up, I guess, around this area comes kind of down to like the action steps, really. Don't get overwhelmed by this. Just kind of let it settle with you, the thought that you're having, and just be curious as to how involving that theme when you're thinking about money and money creation. Just be curious as to how that manifests in your mind and what kind of ideas come from that. And don't censor it, right? If you have some different ideas, write them down. Get those ideas flowing as to how you might be looking to bring more money into your life that is aligned with what you're doing in terms of your money priorities or your family priorities and health priorities and so forth. I hope you've enjoyed that today. As I say, I'll be hanging around in the Facebook group a lot, so do feel free to post whenever you need to, and I'll be in there to answer some questions. Thank you, Sophie. I'm glad you found it helpful. Next steps tomorrow, and look forward to spending the week with you. Take care now, everyone. Bye bye.